So here's a basic question. How did Aaron Rodgers look throwing the football yesterday?
The same he always does. It's just like riding a bike for him. You kind of, I was telling somebody yesterday, just when you see it every day, you can take it for granted. And then you don't see it for a period of time, and he comes back, and you see how just effortless it is. You're like, wow. I mean, it just reminds you how special it is.
Matt, what are your early impressions of Sammy Watkins and what you think he might be able to do in this offense?
Yeah, so obviously we have history going back to LA together, so that definitely gives you a pretty good idea of what he's capable of doing. And I still think I don't think his game has fallen off at all since we were together in 2017. I just, a little bit has been maybe a little bit lack of opportunity, but I think he's a guy that's out there working hard, and he's gonna be a big part of our offense.
From your perspective, is there one common thread in which players generally develop the most when they're going from their first year to their second year? Where do you see the biggest improvement generally?
I think that's tough to say because each individual is different, right? And each position group's a little bit different in terms of just how fast these guys get acclimated to our game and how fast they mature. But I think by and large, for most second-year players, they're much more comfortable in knowing what to do, which allows them to play much faster. I think a lot of times there's a lot of information that's getting thrown at these guys, and I can even speak for myself. When I first got into the league in 2008 with the Houston Texans, it took me a while to fully understand and grasp all the little details of the offense, because I truly think that's what separates good from great in this league. Is just all the finer points, all the details, your ability to go out there and play fast and not get bogged down by your thinking. So I think that's, for most second-year players, I think that's where you see the most growth.
Do you expect a resolution with Allen anytime soon on that front? How are things going there?
That's something that obviously I always stay out of those situations. I mean, certainly hopeful that one does come to a resolution here quickly. We obviously would love him to be here with us. He's a big part of our football team, not only just by his play, but just how he goes out there and works and helps the other guys along.
Is there concern that he's not here, or does the fact that he has a lot of rapport built up with Aaron already maybe make that less detrimental?
Yeah, to be honest with you, again, I haven't put a ton of thought into just we're going to coach who is here, and like I said, we'd love for him to be here. Obviously, he's been in our system for a couple of years, so I definitely don't have any reservations of him not knowing what to do when he gets here. But I'll say that I'm fairly confident that I know he's a pro and he knows how to take care of his body and whatnot. But obviously, you want everybody here just to kind of build that team chemistry, because every year's a little bit different. And shoot, I know you guys were in that locker room. There's a lot of new faces in there, so it's good for just everybody learning one another.
And I probably had the first chance to talk to Jaire today for the first time since his extension. Just what you've seen, I guess, so far this week, what does he mean to that room, his presence, especially being back healthy, and just how he's become a vocal leader in his role?
Well, I think you saw just, last year not having him around. Jaire's got an unbelievable energy that he brings each and every day, and he has a lot of fun out there on the field. And I think, his teammates feed off that. So we missed that, obviously, last year when not having him. Now, thankfully, we had some other guys really, step up, given their opportunities. When you look at what Stokes was able to do and what Rasul was able to do. So we've got a lot of depth, with those three guys right there. And but yeah, I just think Jaire, again, he just brings so much to the team in terms of just how he prepares on a daily basis, how he competes on a daily basis, and elevate everybody around him.
Going back to Sammy for a second, you said you don't think his play has dropped off. Aaron made a comment yesterday that he likes guys that have something to prove and that he feels like Sammy's in that spot. Do you kind of see that look in Sammy's eye too, that he wants to kind of prove what he's still got left and what he's capable of?
Yeah, I would say so, and that's been part of our conversation. And I know he's highly motivated, and you know, I would always bet, just watching the way he works and the way he handles his business. You know, he's a true pro. So I think we're gonna get a great version of Sammy Watkins.
Back to the corners, Matt. You had Rasul in the slot yesterday, at least some. I realize nothing's probably set in stone at this point, but it's not a spot that he's played a whole lot of in his career. But what do you like about him in that spot?
There's so much to like about him at any spot on the field. Just the competitiveness that he plays with. I mean, he's got that dog mentality that we're looking for, and but he's an extremely intelligent player, and he's tough. He'll know what to do and how to fit certain runs, because, you know, that is quite a transition when you're going from outside to inside, just in terms of how you fit in all your run fits and whatnot, and all the different nuances that are involved with that nickel position that, you know, you don't quite experience outside at corner. So we're going to try a lot of different combinations and try to find, you know, the best guys that fit that spot, and try to get our best 11 on the field at all times.
We think of Slot as, on both sides of the ball, kind of smaller, quicker in the middle of the field. As someone with Rasul's size, can that be advantageous at that position, being closer to the ball?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, he's big, he's physical, he's fearless, and he's super intelligent. So I think you'll probably see a good mix of all those guys kind of going in there and try to figure out what the best fit will be for us.
Indoor or outdoor today?
That's a great question. Is it raining?
It is.
It is. What do you guys want to do?
We're rooting for us.
Yeah.
My notebook likes to stay dry. For
Yeah.
what it's worth.
Then we're definitely going outside.
Just going back to that first year, second year thing, are there any players who coached or coached against who stick out just in terms of making a remarkably big leap from first year, rookie year to second year? I don't know if there's anybody that comes to your mind.
I wouldn't say right now in the moment, but yeah, we've seen it so many times. You know, guys are always kind of making that big jump. So, but for me to say off the top of my head right now, I wasn't prepared for that.
Sorry.
Thanks, Wallers.
In this setting, at training camp, how important is that mesh between your veterans and a lot of your younger players that are working side by side with Kenny Clark on the defensive line, and Devondre Campbell, and some of your veteran wide receivers? How important at this time is that mesh?
I think it's incredibly important. I think these young guys can learn from you know, every moment they're around our older veterans, just in terms of how you approach this game on a daily basis, how you prepare for practice, how you react in meetings. There's just so many people for these young guys to learn from within each room, which is a great luxury for us to have. And you know, you can never get these young guys ready fast enough. So just in terms of the standards of how we operate and execute on a daily basis.
Now, what did you see from adjustment-wise from your rookies and even players who have played with Aaron a whole lot, like Sammy Watkins? How did you see them adjust him with him running the offense?
Yeah, well, you know, the majority of the stuff that Aaron was involved in was jog through tempo. So it's kind of hard to say right now, but I think that there were some things that definitely have come up, and Aaron does such a great job of, when he sees something, whether it's, you know, right or wrong, whatever it may be, of having conversations with those guys and kind of telling them what he's thinking and what they should be looking at. And so I think the more that they're around each other, that those conversations will happen organically, and, you know, we'll get everybody on the same page.
You talked about the leadership of veterans. I just wonder, with Mercedes specifically, having a new tight ends coach and everything, just what has his leadership meant just in that room?
Yeah, Sadie's is as good as they get. And, again, just a guy that has been able to play as long as he has, is something special. So I think all these guys, and shoot, it'll be great for John Dunn as well to get around Sadie's, and obviously they've been to, around each other for the past year, but to be in that room is a little bit different. So I'm sure there's going to be some great learning and growth for both of those guys together and in that room as a whole.
Aaron mentioned yesterday that when he's not here, he knows Randall Cobb will teach these young guys what he wants. How have you seen that extension work, and what does the Aaron Rodgers by proxy rule book look like?
Excuse me, what was that last part?
What does the Aaron Rodgers by proxy rule book look like?
Man, that's a great word. I don't even know what that means, but I'll try to answer your question. So, yeah, no, Cobby just, again, a guy that's played a lot of ball, that's been around this system for, the last year, but around Aaron his entire career for the most part. So he can teach those guys just when certain things come up. That's why it's so important for us to go out there and get reps, because it's impossible to sit there and talk about everything that you want a guy to know in the classroom. Some things just come up organically on the field based on whatever is presented to you. So, but to have a veteran like that and show those young guys exactly how to do whatever it is we want them to do is such a great luxury.
Yeah, you've had two different training camps. You had the one that was abbreviated because of COVID, and then last year you had that bye or whatever before the first game. Is there anything different that you want to do with camp this year? Is there anything to increase, competition or anything like that, intensity to it? What do you think you've learned?
Yeah, that's something that we're kind of going through right now, and obviously having new leadership in special teams as well, and incorporating some of Rich's ideas. You guys can tell, I'm sure it looks a little bit different out there in that phase. So, but again, we're kind of working through all that right now.
Can you say, with Rich here, how your special team segments have changed a little bit? More time or more often?
I would say, yeah, a combination of all that. We have dedicated a little bit more time to it, and you can see, like, the majority of our veteran players are a part of it. So they kind of set the standard for it, and in a pinch, they'll know exactly what to do if they have to go out there. Nobody's really exempt from it. So I think that kind of brings a mentality and really stresses the importance of it. And we all know the importance of that phase of the game. And, I also think just the intensity of that portion of practice has really picked up as well.
And Goody said after the draft, he was talking about Tyler Davis, he said, I think we might have something there. And then a couple weeks ago, you were saying that Rich really liked Tyler too. At what point last year did you, as the head of the offense part, start to think, hey, this kid could really help us? You've given him a lot of one reps this offseason. When did he kind of start to really catch your eye, and what do you think of what you've got there?
Yeah, I would say a couple weeks into it, you try to evaluate everything. So the majority of his reps were on the scout team, and certainly you could see the speed. You can see that stuff kind of jumps out to you. But as he was able to kind of grasp what we were asking from that position, and for him to get opportunities in practice, and he starts making the most of it, and then you get into that Baltimore game, and he makes that big play on when they ran that double corner blitz on us. That got us pretty excited, and just his background's pretty interesting, having a quarterback background. He's still, I would say, fairly young at the position. So I think there's a lot of room for growth in front of him, but I think he attacks it the right way, and he's got a great grasp of not only what he's supposed to do, but everybody around him, and you can really, I think you can maximize your own potential by knowing what everybody's doing around you.
Does that happen a lot for you as a coach, where a guy does something in a game and it catches your attention and you think, okay, let's see what else he can do? And isn't it, it's incumbent on him to make sure that one play leads to more opportunities like it has, right? I mean, there can be guys that flash and it never gets more than just a flash.
Sure, absolutely, but I think that's our responsibility to give those guys opportunities to, you know, either make the play or not. So, you know, luckily for us, he made that play, and hopefully he continues to build upon that and makes more plays along the way.
Amari said he really spent the offseason getting his body right. Have you noticed a difference in him, and what do you think that could do for him year 2?
Yeah, I think again, one of the, I guess, bigger jumps for a lot of young players is just they don't always understand how hard you have to practice, how hard you have to play on every play. It's not like college when they're out there for 100 plays a game, and there's times when you have to reserve your energy level to be able to get through the entire game. That's not an option here, because if you don't play your hardest on every play at this level, you're going to get exposed. So I think just what I've noticed from him is just his conditioning. He's in much better shape, and he's able to go much harder for a longer period of time.